Welcome to #Wednesdays Weekly, a weekly information session in collaboration with the voluntary sector and public sector partners. Today's session is Deafblind UK, who we are and what we do. And our host is Andrew. Over to you, Andrew.
Hi there, good morning everyone. My name is Andrew William Barnes and I am one of the Sensory Support Officers here at Deafblind UK. Just to make sure that everyone can hear me and I'm speaking clearly and everyone, yeah, brilliant. So as I say, my name's Andrew and I'm one of the Sensory Support Officers here at Deafblind UK. I've come along today to talk a bit about who we are as an organisation, what we do, the services that we provide, just to give that information out to you all. So I'll start off with a very brief history of who Deafblind UK is and where we've come from. So we started in 1928 as the National Deafblind Helpers League. And we were set up originally to support injured servicemen who'd lost both their sight and hearing during the First World War. And we've now obviously changed our name to Deafblind UK. We'll be having our 100-year anniversary soon, so we're looking forward to that. In 1929, we produced the Braille Rainbow, which was the first magazine for deafblind people. We're still very, very pleased to be running that today. It's now called the Open Hand, and the reason it's called the Open Hand is to do with how you can communicate with someone who is deafblind signing into their open hand. Okay. So in 1963, our sort of living accommodation for people with dual sensory loss called Rainbow Court opened. And the Rainbow Court gets its name from the Braille Rainbow magazine. Now, sort of a key individual, Arthur Sculthorpe is a role model. Sculthorpe, which is SCULTHORPE, was a role model, and he was showing deafblind people can have successful careers, and he was the first deafblind person to broadcast on the BBC in 1940s. Okay, and Deafblind UK is currently the only national organisation supporting people with an acquired deaf blindness. So that is where someone has acquired their sensory loss later in life. Okay. So here we are. So we are what's known as a members organisation. So this is, I mean, that whoever wants to receive our services would have to become a member. But the really good thing is that membership is completely free. There's no cost to it whatsoever. But it's just a way of allowing that individual to access the services that we provide, but also actually input to how that service is delivered and what services they would like to receive and how it should all look and how it's going to work. So it's that sort of two-way relationship. They become part of the organisation. They're not just receiving the service. So as I say, it's a free membership. There's no cost to it whatsoever, and there's no cost to any of the services that we provide, apart from one, but I'll point that out in a minute. We currently have just over 3,500 members at the moment, but we know that there is approximately 400,000 people in the UK living with a dual sensory loss. So we know that we need to get out there, let people know of the services that we're providing and the support that is out there. Part of the reason why it's kind of difficult for people to maybe identify themselves as deafblind is they don't want to identify as deafblind. So that causes a bit of an issue. So part of my role is to go out there and raise awareness as to what deafblindness means and what kind of support is available. So when we use the term deafblind, we're referring to anyone that has sort of any level of dual sensory loss. So it might be as mild as maybe having to turn the TV up a little bit louder, or asking people to repeat themselves. Then maybe having to start wearing glasses, or using magnifiers, right through to a complete loss of both senses. So we covered that entire spectrum of deafblindness. And the reason for that is that we know that it can impact people in different ways at different stages in that process. And that's why we're really, really quite open in our criteria, because we want to make sure that everyone receives that information, hopefully before they ever need that information. And we hope they don't need that information in the future. But it's really useful to give that individual that information so they know that, and they know, and they feel a lot more comfortable, and they know that there's support out there available to them. So the services that I'm going to go through is the same offer across England, Wales and Northern Ireland. Deafblind Scotland is a slightly separate charity in its own right, and covers Scotland by itself, but we work very, very closely with them. But Deafblind UK covers England, Wales and Northern Ireland. The offers that I'm going to go through as well are not only open to deafblind individuals themselves, but it's also open to carers and family members as well, who may be sort of living and supporting that person with dual sensory loss. But we know that they may benefit from some of the services that we're providing as well, particularly sort of with the pandemic situation and coming out of that pandemic. So as I sort of said, when we sort of use the term deafblindness, we're referring to anyone that has any sort of level of dual sensory loss. It's that combination of sight and hearing loss, and it can affect, when it starts to affect that person's ability to communicate effectively, access information equally, or get out and about. And it's those three things that we look at when we're sort of trying to support that person in the best way. So here are the services that we provide. So these are all of the charitable services that we provide, and these are open again to members and carers. So we have our helpline, and our helpline is open to absolutely anybody and everyone that wants to ask any question relating to deafblindness, want to refer themselves, sign up, make a referral, and ask any question. And that helpline is open Monday to Thursday 9 till 5. And it's open Friday 9 till 4. Okay? And so anyone can get in touch through that helpline. I will hopefully be sending out some leaflets to you all afterwards, which will have the contact details on there as well. But I will mention the contact details at the end. So we also provide emotional and wellbeing support package. Now the members can choose to pick and receive what it is that they would like to receive. They can pick and choose what it is they'd like to receive, so we can provide that tailor-made approach to the services that we provide. So in the emotional and wellbeing support package, we have 4 options that they can choose from sort of light touch support to sort of more intensive level of support. So the members can choose to receive a birthday card and or a Christmas card. Or a birthday contact as well, which could be a telephone call or a text message or an email, depending on what works for that person. So they can choose to receive that if they wish. And I believe that this year's Christmas card has been designed by one of our members in the northwest of England, which is really exciting. The second option is the members can choose to receive a wellbeing contact once every 3 months. So that's either a telephone call or a letter or an email or a text message from one of our wonderful volunteers. And that's just to check in with that member to see that they're okay, they're happy with all the services that they're getting, they don't need anything at that time. or just to have a friendly chat with someone. You know, so that's what that wellbeing support service is for, and that's once every 3 months. The third option is a 6-week emotional support. Okay, so this isn't counselling, but it's sort of designed to help support someone through a particularly emotional difficult period, over a period of 6 weeks or longer if needs be, just to provide that extra support. So it's a contact once a week for a period of 6 weeks or longer. Okay, and then the fourth option is counselling. So we do have a counselling service, and again, that's a sort of contact once a week for a period of 10 weeks or longer, depending on what that person needs. Now, obviously, as I'm sure you can understand, there is a bit of a waiting list for that kind of service, which is why the 6-week emotional support comes in quite handy, because it allows us to sort of triage, work with that person to see what it is that they need, what's the long-term plan for that member, what's going to work best for them. Okay, so that's all part of the emotional and wellbeing support package. Okay, then we have a befriending service as well. So we can match our members who would like a befriender with a volunteer or another member that has a similar or shared interest, so they can build that friendship with someone. Now, currently, this befriending service is remote, so it's over the phone, email, video call, FaceTime, text message. If our members use BSL as their first language, we've got video call befrienders to be able to provide that service as well. So it's all done remotely. We don't have the ability at the moment to provide that face-to-face service, but it is something that we are working towards, because we know that that is what our members would like. So that's our befriending service. We then have the empowerment support service, or casework, and this is a service to help that member, empower that member to achieve what it is that they would like to achieve, whether that being referred to the right service, finding out what services or activities are happening in their area, if they need help with application, anything and everything that our member would like some support with, we can help provide that support through the empowerment service. We then also have social groups. So we have a combination of face-to-face social groups, which are sort of relaunching in the new year, as well as telephone and Zoom social groups. So we've got, I think, there's about 6 or 7 telephone groups. There's 2 Zoom video groups for members who perhaps use lip reading as a support to support their communication. And there is also another Zoom group, which is for members who use BSL as their first language, which has been really, really popular. There is also another social group set up as well to support carers or family members who are living and supporting someone with a dual sensory loss. So we've got a variety of different social groups to help meet the needs of those individuals. We then also have technology support. So we can provide information about how to use technology to make life easier, to keep in touch with friends and family, access information, provide an entertainment value, or like a bit of TV. And so we provide this in 2 ways. So we're currently running a series of tech webinars. So individuals can join these webinars, find out a bit of particular technology that's been talked about, whether it's sort of, magnifiers or Amazon devices, or, any sort of piece of equipment that's going to support someone with their sensory loss. We then also sort of provide a one-to-one service to help that member find out what solution is going to work for them, what piece of equipment might work, what the issues that they're facing at that time and accessing technology. And we can either provide that support and work with them, and then we can also work with local organisations to provide that sort of extra support as well. So we're quite keen to work with local organisations to support that individual. Okay? that's the technology support. The next service is the only service that has any cost to it, but of course you might understand why. We also provide holidays. Okay, so we have our members have an opportunity to go on holiday. So we have two caravans that are specifically adapted to support someone with a dual sensory loss, so they're fully accessible for our members. And they sleep up to 6 people. So the idea behind that is that our members can go on holiday with families or friends in an accessible environment that works for them. Both of the caravans are on haven sites. They've got all of the amenities there, lots of activities, swimming pool, restaurants, bars, all sorts of things. And they are heavily subsidised as well, so they're very, very affordable for our members. And the idea behind that is that we don't want there to be any barriers for our members going on holiday and having a good time and enjoying themselves. The two caravans are based, one is based in Great Yarmouth in Norfolk, and the other is based in Prestatyn in North Wales. In Prestatyn, North Wales, which is, Prestatyn, North Wales. I apologise, my internet might be a little bit patchy at the moment, so I do apologise. So those are the holiday offers that we have as well. The last thing I'll talk about as well, well, one of the last services I'll talk about is the Open Hand magazine that I mentioned before. So we provide the Open Hand magazine free to our members if they choose to receive it. And we produce it 4 times a year, so it's a seasonal magazine. So it's a sort of, autumn, winter, spring and summer magazine. We send it out in 6 formats. So we have Braille, audio CD, regular magazine with large print and pictures. And then we have an extra large print version, which doesn't come with the pictures, unfortunately. But they can also choose to receive it as an email, so either as a PDF document or a plain text version. So we produce it in as many formats as we can. Okay, and our members can choose to receive that. I will say, as I've said before, that the Open Hand magazine was set up in 1929. It has its really own sort of really interesting history. It was first produced as a Braille version, as I mentioned before. And so there was one copy that was produced, and that would be sent out, and the members would read it and send it on to the next member and so on, and it would come back to the head office slightly battered and bruised, but very well read. Fast forward a little bit, during the Second World War, it was considered such an important document that it was exempt from the paper rationing at the time, because it contained such useful information in an accessible format for people with dual sensory loss. So it was considered really, really important. So we're very, very proud of its history and the fact that it's still running today. So those are all of the services, the charitable services that are available to our members. We also do provide paid care and support services as well, but only in certain parts of the country at the moment. That care and support service has been continually running through the pandemic, ensuring that we're meeting COVID regulations at that time. Just for your interest, the areas that we do provide that care and support at the moment is in London, Essex, Cambridgeshire, West Midlands, Staffordshire and Bristol and Gloucestershire. But if you want more, Bristol and Gloucestershire. If you want any more information about that service, please do just get in touch with us. Okay. And as I mentioned before, we also have Rainbow Court, which is a supported living accommodation as well, and that is based in Peterborough, where our head office is. So there's quite a lot of services there, but I'm not quite finished yet. What else do we offer? So we actually offer some services to professionals as well, and this is professionals who are perhaps people working and supporting someone with dual sensory loss, or professional in any capacity or workplace, or family, friends. We provide these services as well. So we provide a free 1 hour online Zoom deafblind awareness session. Okay, so this deafblind awareness session is designed to raise awareness of the impact of deafblindness, how it impacts on individuals, the services that we provide, and to give information and advice out to other organisations about how they can work to make themselves accessible for deafblind individuals. So I deliver that session right across England and Wales. Just to give out that general information. So we look at things like the different eye conditions, and how sort of the different conditions can impact the sight in different ways. We also briefly look at hearing loss and how that can impact individuals. Then we look at sort of accessing information, different communication methods such as British Sign Language, SSE, visual frame sign language, and tactile communications as well. So we provide that session completely free to anyone who would like that session. And then we also have another version which is slightly longer, where we bring in someone who is actually living with dual sensory loss to share their experience and story with that audience. So that's the deafblind awareness session. We also provide a professional yes, we then have further professional training opportunities on top of that, so that we look at specific things like communication, care and support, deafblind assessment, things like that, and those are paid courses that we can provide on top of that. We also then provide a professional newsletter, which goes out once every 2 months to professionals working with members who have dual sensory loss, just to keep them up to date with legislation, the services that we're providing, and other things that might be useful to those professionals. We also then have lots of fundraising and volunteering opportunities. So if you would like to take part and support us in the work that we do, please do get in touch with us. So, so those are all of the services that we provide, just to let you know the range and diversity of the services, and the fact that all of these services have been designed and instructed by our members. So our members are the ones behind these services. These are what our members have wanted, and this is what we've been able to deliver for them. So I'll very briefly go through some contact details with you. I'll try and go as slow as I can. So we have our email, which is info@deafblind.org.uk. We have our general telephone number, which is 0800 132 320. We also then have a text number, which is 079 50 00 8870. Then we also have a text relay service, which obviously is just 18001 in front of the general telephone number. We also then have a FaceTime service, which is for members who use lip reading as their form of communication. And then we also do have a BSL telephone line as well, which can be found on the contacts page of our website. So you just click on the link and it will take it through to a service, and you click on the green button and you'll be able to ring directly into the organisation and connect with our helpline team on there. As I said, this information will be sent out to you as well, along with some further useful links on our website and things like that. But I think that is it for now. Thank you very much for listening. I hope that's been of use to you. And I know that there are some questions in there, so I'll answer some of those questions as well as any other questions.
Oh, thank you very much, Andrew. I'll just stop the recording now so you can go to the question and answer.